What's up everyone, back again with the next episode of the NatDex climb using monotypes. And in today's episode I will be using some mono fairies. So mono fairy did go pretty well in the testing, if I may say so myself. So I definitely want to try and recreate that now and climb in the ladder. We left off around the 1420 mark, so in today's episode I kind of want to get to minimum 1450, but 1500 would be kind of the benchmark I'm going for. So we're going to hop right into the team. Now first up we have Magearna. So Magearna is going to be, how do I put this? Magearna is amazing as a Pokemon for all those who haven't used it in the tier. So what Magearna can do is kind of just set up in things' faces. It's quite bulky. With its Soul Heart ability, it does gain special attack every time it scores a KO. It can be fast with Shift Gear. It's just an amazing Pokemon. So my Magearna is a bit of an interesting one. It is going to be a max HP, max defense, lax nature, because we do need that physical tank on the team, and this shouldn't be minus defense. I think we actually want minus attack, which might seem strange, but I'll explain my rationale in a second. So with this, Magearna can be quite bulky and actually tank a good few hits because of its great defense and HP, as well as passive leftover recovery. With that, we do have Iron Head because it's just a nice stab to have, and while we do have a minus attack nature, it is actually boosted by Shift Gear. So when we Shift Gear, it increases our speed 2 stages and our attack a stage. So this kind of mediocre attack will become much better after a Shift Gear, as well as patching up our pretty bad speed. So that is why we have Shift Gear, and as well as that, Iron Head can help to fend off opposing Magearna, for example, because we can't flinch them. It is neutral, and again it's boosted by our Shift Gear, as well as being able to score some crucial flinches, which can really help in the game. Next up we have Aura Sphere. So Aura Sphere is there for a kind of like steel types like Ferrothorn, Bisharp, even things like Tyranitar, who can otherwise kind of tank a lot of what I have. The Aura Sphere is nice for scoring a KO. Heatran as well is actually a big one. So after a booster 2, or even on a swap in, Aura Sphere can start getting nice KOs on steel types such as those, which activate my Soul Heart. So what Soul Heart does is increase my special attack a stage every time a Pokemon faints. So that means my special attack is going to be going up a stage to just shy of 450 after 1 KO, and that just keeps compounding, becoming stronger and stronger, making my Aura Sphere stronger, but more importantly, it makes my stored power stronger. So stored power is already only 20 base, which does seem terrible, but for those of you who don't know what it does, after every stat boost, you get plus 20 base power to it. So for example, after a Shift Gear, we get 2 speed and 1 attack. So that's 3 stages of stat boosting, which increases this power by 80. So this 60 up to 80. So that makes store power 80 base power after 1 Shift Gear, and after 1 Soul Heart, it increases the base power again by a further 20, but also makes it 1.5 times as strong because of our increased special attack. So that is going to be a really key move for sweeping teams in the late game. Next up we do have Mawile, and Mawile is going to be my Mega, and to put it simply, with Mawile, it just hits so hard. It hits like a truck. After it Mega evolves, it does gain access to huge power, which means its attack stat is doubled. And its attack stat isn't that impressive. Looking at it here, it's only 295, which isn't the worst, but not great. But bear in mind, that increases. I'm not sure what base power it is when it Mega evolves, but that does increase. And as well as that, it doubles on top of that to whopping power. I forgot to mention, it does actually have Intimidate, so when it comes in on the field, it can also intimidate my foe, making my foe slightly weaker if they are a physical attacker, making Mawile hopefully be able to take a hit. Now, moveset wise, we have Swords Dance. So Swords Dance increases its already monstrously high attack even stronger. So when the Swords Dance up and my attack is skyrocketed to above 2000, yeah, it goes that high. The Sucker Punch becomes insanely strong, so there's basically nothing in the tier that doesn't, unless it resists it, that likes taking a +2, 4, 6, whatever Sucker Punch from Mawile, especially more squishy Pokemon in the tier. It can absolutely obliterate by the Sucker Punch, and it does ignore its poor speed. Next up we have Iron Head. Iron Head is Stab. It's not going to be flinching much because its speed tier is terrible. However, this Iron Head is 80 base before stab, and coming off a huge power, potentially Sword Dance to Mawile, this thing just absolutely devastates walls. For example, like Tangela, Amoonguss, Clefable, anything like that, just gets absolutely obliterated by an Iron Head. And finally we have Thunder Punch. So Thunder Punch seems like a bit of a strange one because it's not that strong, but it's pretty much only there for Toxapex because the team does struggle with Toxapex, and it's often going to just want to try and haze in my face or maybe try and recover spam so I can't get a Sucker Punch off. And Iron Head is not very effective, so after a +2, a Thunder Punch should absolutely obliterate a Toxapex, so that is why we have that. Now the next member of the squad is going to be Tapu Bulu, and Tapu Bulu is going to be running a terrain extender, and the reason for this is, as you can see, I'm running 3 steel type Pokemon, Magearna, Mawile and Klefki. So Grassy Surge, it summons grassy terrain upon swap in, which gives my team passive recovery, which is a really good boost. First of all, I'm getting essentially a leftovers boost on my entire team, even on things like Mawile who aren't running leftovers. It's just fantastic to have that, but more importantly, it halves the damage from Earthquake, which is a very central move we see a lot in this tier. So Magearna, Mawile, Klefki won't fear Earthquake too much, as we essentially are neutral to them, and they are fairly bulky, so that is quite good for us. Now moveset wise, we do have Bulk Up. So Bulk Up is good for increasing my attack and defense because Bulu's attack is already pretty monstrously high, as well as having good HP and decent defense. Bulk Up patches that up nicely to be able to take a hit, and especially after that my Horn Leech, which is Grassy Surge boosted, as well as Stab, just will do an absolute ton of damage while giving me fantastic recovery. Next up we have Nature's Madness. Nature's Madness is kind of just there for things like Skarmory, basically big walls, like maybe something that wants to swap in, we can click Nature's Madness and it does half their current HP, which is quite good because there is a lot of things in the tier that can wall out Tapu Bulu, but that kind of chip is very good, especially on a entry hazard heavy team. And finally we have Superpower. Superpower is there to catch off, for example, things like Heatran on a swap, or maybe if Excadrill wants to come in, other steel types in the tier that can give me trouble. Superpower can usually absolutely devastate them. And Tapu Bulu is just defensive enough with its nice HP and defense to just about take a Iron Head from Excadrill. So after some entry hazard chip, especially after a Bulk Up, if it wants to rapid spin those hazards away, Horn Leech can then one-hit KO and I gain a good chunk of HP back, especially thanks to my Grassy Surge. So next up we have Klefki with Prankster. So Klefki is essentially only going to be a entry hazard setter. It is a max defense, bold nature, much like Magearna was, with the plus defense and plus HP, just to give my team a more physically defensive backbone. With leftovers and Tapu Bulu's Grassy Surge, we can live nice things like Earthquake, we get some passive recovery, about 12% a turn thanks to the terrain, and leftovers is really good. Ability wise, we do have Prankster, which I'll explain now because most of my moves are actually going to be status moves. So we do have Spikes. So Spikes is just going to kind of put a lot of pressure on my opponent's team. It's going to layer spikes down. It really limits their swap-ins. They might have to take off turns to defog or rapid spin, which gives me opportunities to set up on things, for example, Magearna, Mawile, Tapu Fini. We can Wish Pass with Clefable, all good stuff like that. So the spikes does put a lot of pressure on my opponent, as well as not allowing them to swap out too much without taking a lot of chip. Next up we do have Defog. So Defog is there to get rid of hazards like Sticky Web and Toxic Spikes, especially are two that really bother my team, so it is nice to be able to get rid of those in some way, shape or form. Next up we have Foul Play, because Klefki has no real way of attacking, but it does have a max defense nature, allowing it to live quite a few hits. Not a lot, it's not the most defensive, but it can live a couple of hits. And if the opponent wants to, for example, Swords Dance on my face or Dragon Dance on my face or anything to boost its attack, it does run the risk of me clicking Foul Play and doing a ton of damage. And the reason I chose Foul Play is because I don't actually have to be invested at all into attack for this to do a lot of damage. And next up we have T-Wave. So my team does severely lack speed control. There's no like Scarf user, there's no really speedy users outside of Magearna after a Shift Gear. So Thunder Wave is quite nice to be able to slow down key threats in the tier, for example Cinderace, which can give my team huge trouble, so that's really important. Next up we have Specially Defensive Clefable. So I know Physically Defensive Clefable is kind of running around a lot more right now, but my team was lacking some like naturally specially defensive walls, so I did go for Clefable, and it is going to be pretty much a support Clefable with max special defense, max HP, calm nature. It can live a lot of special attacks, which is very important, and then I can like Wish Pass, Wish Teleport into things like maybe Mawile who's weakened, or Tapu Fini or Magearna. All these kind of good wall breakers or good offensive threats on my team that can be weakened, we can use Clefable as a cleric to Wish Pass. On top of that, we do have Toxic to disrupt walls. For example, Tangrowth would be a good one. I'm trying to think of whether maybe like Landorus coming in, we can try Toxic that, and that does put it on a timer, which is very good for my team. So Teleport is also there just to grab momentum, especially in special attackers. We can eat up the hit. It might be a Volt Switch or something, or just like a Thunderbolt. Just random examples, and we can teleport into an ally respectively, and they won't be taking damage upon the swap in, which is super important. And finally, we do have Moonblast for a nice bit of stab. As well as that, there's a 30% chance to drop special attack, which can be good for more team support on my team. And last but not least, we do have Tapu Fini. So Tapu Fini, EV spread wise, is a bit strange. It is max speed because we do need some form of speed control in the team, as well as 96 special attack IVs. So I didn't calculate this exactly, but this does allow me to one-hit KO Venusaur at +2 with Hidden Power Fire in the sun. That sounds so specific, but that is a key thing that I found in testing, especially against like sun teams with Torkoal. They like to come in, I can get Calm Mind in their face, like to get rocks, they swap into Venusaur next turn, I get Calm Mind up again. They're probably thinking I run maybe Surf, Moonblast, but I'm actually running Hidden Power Fire. We do live a Sludge Bomb, thanks to our nice HP and our then fantastically boosted special defense from Calm Mind. And our special attack will be enough to one-hit KO the Venusaur with Hidden Power Fire. So that's really, really good for my team because Venusaur can be quite scary. As well as that, moveset-wise, we have Surf, which is fantastic for Heatran. So Tapu Fini is going to be one of my biggest Heatran checks. It has Misty Surge. So when it comes in with Misty Terrain, it can't be toxic from Heatran, which is super important. It can live Magma Storm, it can live like Flash Cannons, Earth Power, and all that kind of good stuff, as well as having passive recovery thanks to Leftovers. Next up we have Taunt. Taunt will be one of my ways of stopping setup for things like Toxapex, Ferrothorn. Just kind of shut those down before they become too much of a threat to my team. And as I explained, Calm Mind and Hidden Power Fire earlier, mainly to do with Steel types, or things like Venusaur or Amoonguss, which can really wall out my team. So that's going to be the team today. I'm going to pause there till we find some games, and hopefully we get some good ones. I'll be right back. So we have the next game. In this game, things like Excadrill are absolutely terrifying for my team. As we know, Mega Pidgeot is quite strong against me too, so we're going to have a strong lead with hopefully Tapu Bulu as they go into Tangrowth. Now I expect them to Sludge Bomb me here, so I'm going to go into Klefki and try to get up some spikes as they end up Sleep Powdering me. So this lets them get an Excadrill kind of for free here, so I'm going to try swap into Fini and click Surf on this. If they want to Rapid Spin away my spikes, they do risk taking a chunk of damage and putting themselves in range of unboosted Mawile. So Pidgeot can also be an issue in this game, as they go into Rotom Heat and give me a good chunk of damage off on that, which I value. Lets me get in Clefable here on the Volt Switch. They get back in Excadrill, which again is an issue for me because they can Rapid Spin away my spikes. So we're going to go into Fini here and click Surf again. It should get a decent chunk of damage off on pretty much anything swapping in as they go into Tangrowth. So I think on Tangrowth we can set up the Mawile. They might be Earthquake. I'm going to go to Bulu to scout for Earthquake, just in case they're mixed, or they could be Hidden Power Fire as their final move. I value the HP recovery on Mawile as well so much, so they actually go into Excadrill. If they click Iron Head here and they don't flinch me, I get Superpower and take care of Excadrill, which is such a big threat to my team, so that is a great KO to get, which lets me open up things in the end game, like spikes, because they cannot Rapid Spin them away anymore. So I'll go into Fini here, and I should live I easily live a Water Shuriken. And I'm going to Calm Mind in their face. If they go into Dragapult, that is a huge issue for my team. I think I value Fini a lot in the end game. Now they can Sludge Bomb here, but Hidden Power Fire should do a good chunk of damage. That does so much. And they go for a Giga Drain, so I'll click Hidden Power Fire again. Just get a bit of chip on anything coming in, as it should force out the Tangrowth here to get his regen boost. So you get Rotom, which is a nice pick in this game, and it's opening up Mawile so much in the endgame to be able to click Sucker Punch. Now, I know from the last game I don't die to a Hurricane, and my Surf does a huge chunk of damage there. We'll click Surf again. Please don't confuse. Nice. So we take care of Pidgeot, that's huge for us. And they take in Dragapult. Now this can be an issue if it decides to Dragon Dance in my face. I'm going to taunt it, as I end up missing the taunt. I'll give them Bulu. I feel like it's the most expendable member of the team, and I think at -1 I should live. And I can just click Iron Head here. So they are Rocky Helmet. That is good to know. I really do value spikes in this game to chip away things like Dragapult, though my Magearna is looking better and better as the game goes on. In fact, I think I'll take a Magearna now and just start shift gearing in their face. Their knockoff doesn't do nearly enough damage, and I'm still getting passive recovery thanks to my grassy terrain. So the aim here is to shift gear up as much as possible, and then just click Store Power and pick up some KOs. I'll click Store Power again. I think I live a Water Shuriken. Nice. And this should get a KO here. If not, I can threaten them with Sucker Punch. So we get the next game, and I'm going to pause there till we find another one. I'll be right back. So we have another game. In this game, Dracovish can actually be a huge issue, but we do have hopefully Tapu Bulu to wall that out, as well as walling other threats such as hopefully Landorus, unless it is Z-Fly, and potentially Gyarados as well. So in this game, I think I'll open up Klefki as they go Heatran. I get Infini here as they go into Lando. I value a Surf. Now they can get in Vish here as they get in Pex. I will taunt this. I really do not want Toxic Spikes up on my side of the field, and this lets me Calm Mind in their face. Now Superior can be an issue as they actually go into Heatran here, letting me click Surf again and get a good chunk of damage off on Heatran. I'll just click Surf again. So Pex comes out, I'll always taunt. And just Calm Mind here. So Serp comes out, and Serp is a big issue for my team. Hidden Power Fire should do a good chunk of damage. Nice. Now they can click something like Leaf Storm. I'm going to taunt this again. I value taunting so much, and I'm actually recovering more damage than they're doing to me. So they're going to have to rely here on some full paras as I surf, but unfortunately get full parried here. Nice, so I break through and I get a KO on Landorus, as well as good chunk of damage on Superior. Now this is an issue for me. I think Bulu walls. Yeah, Bulu absolutely walls. And we're going to click Super Power here because I expect maybe Heatran to want to come in. Fantastic play there for me because I get Heatran, which is such a big threat to my team. Unfortunately now I have to give them something, so I will give them Feeny. And they are definitely Scarf based on the damage they're doing. So I can kind of just get in Bulu again and click Hornleech here. Nothing particularly like swapping into this. I can bulk up in your face, I believe. They might go for a Dragon Dance as they actually go into Pex. So Pex can be an issue for me. But they don't have any way of removing spikes at this point in the game. So I'm going to try T-Wave them. As I T-Wave Serp, and here I'm going to get some spikes down. Unfortunately for them, they are getting fully parried. I'll get my last layer of spikes down. I think Magearna should be able to break. Especially after a shift gear. Oh, I need 2 shift gears. Actually, I only need 1. So I do still outspeed. I'll click shift gear again, just to get my stored power nice and strong, in case something like Toxapex wants to come in. So this is looking kind of difficult for me, but I'm going to click stored power here. I thought Pex would come in. This endgame is looking kind of difficult because they can potentially wall me out. as I actually get the KO, which is quite good. Now Vish gets a KO here, unfortunately, but I really don't value Klefki at all at this point in the game, so I would have sought Klefki to get in my Bulu, which should have cleaned the end game. So that was another good win for us. Let's see where we ended up on the ladder. 1474. Not bad. We started around 1400, so maybe 1420, I think. So we're getting some good wins here, and I'm going to pause till I find another game. I'll be right back. So we have another game, and in this game, Magearna is such a huge threat, as it always is to my team, so I'm going to have to play carefully with that in mind. We'll open up a Clefable, as I expected them to want to go Landorus, and we'll try to get a Toxic off turn 1. So any chip I can get here on Landorus is quite important for me. And I'll just try and throw a Toxic out. If I manage to Toxic the Mantine, Dragapult, or Dragonite, that's also quite good for me. Now, despite the fact Dragapult is very weak to Fairy and, for example, Sucker Punch, it can still be quite a big threat to my team, so I can't sleep on that. They might go into Mag hard here, which is a big threat to my team, which is exactly what they do. So I think we want to Thunder Wave them as early as possible to try and put a stop to this thing. It is a complete menace. I think Feeney's the play. And we're gonna taunt here. And start getting my own Combines up. Oof, that did a lot of damage. Ah. They ended up getting a crit, which is probably going to be the end of the game for me, as I do not have any Earthquake on my team. I'm going to have to really rely on some Flinch hacks here to win the game, unfortunately. Flinch and Para hacks, I believe, are my only end game at this position. So unfortunately this might be a very quick loss to Magearna, as that is doing no damage. Damn. Maybe Bulu's Nature Madness. If I get some good Flinch hacks, which again, I don't, as is to be expected. A Sword Dance into Iron Head will KO, but potentially 2 Iron Heads should make KO. Oh, actually would not at all. So they don't get Flinch hacks once, which is okay, that's part of the game we play, so that's going to be a quick write-off, and we're going to pause there till we find the next game. I'll be right back. So we have our next game, and in this game there are some massive threats, such as Cinderace and Venusaur, so I'm going to have to play this one carefully with that in mind. They do have a Defogger and Zapdos, so I'm not too keen on getting up my hazards right away. We're actually going to open up with Mawile and try get an early KO with Thunder Punch here. If they are Specs Hydro Pump, it might KO, and I will very much regret throwing away my Mawile. So they are Life Orb, and I do survive. And I could potentially Wish Pass into my Mawile later on in the game. So that was a nice turn 1 for me, getting rid of a big threat such as that. In fact, maybe I should open up the Mawile a bit more in the future. As they take in Cinderace. Now we know Cinderace is a massive threat to my team, but the question is, what can we do without? And I think Bulu is the most expendable member. As we get in Klefki to try and T-Wave this. So in order to win this game, I believe we have to get T-Wave up as they go into Lele and block it. Great play. I will throw some spikes down. As they Calm Mind up. That can be scary. I don't think this thing gets stored power. And we should live one hit here. And my Iron... Ooh, it is a Z move. All out pummeling. Yikes. So this endgame is looking kind of unwinnable for us at this stage because they can click Sight Shock here, pick up a KO, or a Psychic. It does much the same. So we get in Klefki. Now I think I rely entirely on getting my Mawile in to win this endgame. But unfortunately I will die to a discharge. Damn. So this game was pretty much over before it began. I played poorly against the Lele. Because they can easily get in Cinderace here and click Gong Shot. I will surf here. It won't pick up a KO, and they can easily go into Chansey to wall me out completely. So unfortunately that's going to be the end of the line for me. If they miss their gunk shot, I am definitely in for a chance of winning. Not a great one, but it is possible. And I do outspeed the Venusaur and click Hidden Power Fire here, and I should be able to pick up a KO, as it is thick fat unfortunately, which means I won't be able to get a KO right away, but they don't Giga Drain me. So there is hope here for me yet. I really rely on some very good RNG for me, with that gunk shot missing. If they're not gunk shot, that would be very beneficial for me. I'll taunt here again, though I expect them to go for Seismic Toss here, which is exactly what they do. So in this position, I get in Klefki, and I can get my spikes down as they go into Lele. I think a foul play should do a chunk of damage to them as they go into Cinderace. That did a lot of damage actually. So in this position, I sack Feeny as they Pyro Ball. Are they no? They surely have Gunk Shot. They U-turn again, presumably into Chansey. And unfortunately here, they can just click Seismic Toss and win the game. I will get spikes down, but it doesn't do much in the end game for me at all. Now I can T-Wave the Chansey as they go into Zapdos to try and get a Defog off. So unfortunately that's going to be the game for me. GG. We're going to pause there until we find the next one. I'll be right back. So here we have another game. It looks to be a rain team based on the fact they have Pelipper, Mega Swampert, a Greninja. Team is insane, bro. Too nice. What a fairy. So Magearna here is definitely a huge threat to my team, as always. So we can potentially lose this game off the bat if Magearna ends up setting up on our face. So we're going to open up Mawile here, I think, as they go in Ferrothorn on turn 1. A part of me wants to Swords Dance in their face, as I don't see what they can do to threaten me here. And here I will Mega Evolve into Iron Head, which should pick up a KO, and I can potentially heal up with Clefable later in the game. That surprisingly didn't end up KOing. Is their last move Protect? It's not. Now they presumably want to go for a Water Shuriken here, which lets me Wish and potentially pass into Mawile, which I can't right now because this thing needs to be paralyzed as soon as possible. I feel the only endgame I can potentially win here is with Feeny. And even then, it's a stretch, as Draining Kick doesn't do too much damage. So we can actually offset a lot of the damage they do to me here. And hopefully my Hidden Power Fire should do some good damage here. Now unfortunately their Stored Power is doing a lot of damage, as my Hidden Power Fire isn't that strong. So I'm actually going to Surf here as Pelipper comes in and I pick up a KO, which is pretty good for me. Swampert comes in, the Earthquake does grab a KO here, so I'm going to go into Bulu and try Horn Leech, whatever comes out, as they go for Ice Punch, and I get to fully recover. Not too bad. Now if Dracovish is banded, it will pick up a KO, otherwise I should just about survive, so I believe that is Scarf based on that kind of damage. The rain ends soon, but do I value Bulu much in the end game? I don't particularly value it against things like Mag or Greninja. So I get in Klefki here and I'll try and Thunder Wave this, which should hopefully just about let me survive one, and I'll get up some spikes to chip away the Magearna when it comes back in. Now this thing is such a huge threat, especially in the rain. A part of me wants to wish up, but I'm going to go into Feeny here and try Calm Mind. If they're fully powered, that would be great for me, as unfortunately they're not. So my Surf's not going to do too much damage at all. Just one paralysis would be so nice for me. Nice. So I got just what I needed, and I can shift gear up in their face here. Stored Power grabs a KO, and in this position I can Iron Head the Magearna. As Greninja comes in, I'll click Aura Sphere and pick up a KO there. Nice. So we ended up winning that game, and I'm going to pause till we find the next one. I'll be right back. So we have another game, and this team looks pretty cool. Having things like Swellow, which potentially has either Scrappy or Guts. It's cool to see some underused Pokemon like Cacturne, Donphan, one of my favourites in Gen 2, so this is a cool looking team. Here we're going to open up with, I think, Feeny, as they open up Dewpider, or sorry, Araquanid. And I will taunt this to stop it getting webs up if that's what it's going to go for, as it liquidates me turn 1. Actually does a lot of damage too. So I think I'll get him Bulu on this, as unfortunately they get a defense drop. And I will Nature's Madness here. It does put this quite low, as they do have Roost, so I'll bulk up again in its face as they hear Whirlwind. I'll try Teleport here. Araquanid comes in, and I think I really value spikes in this game, but it's going to be hard enough to get them up. I think Mawile can come in and click Thunder Punch. While I don't think it'll pick up a KO just yet, it does a ton of damage on the Skarmory. So I click Swords Dance here as they Roost. Now if they want to Whirlwind me, they have to eat a +2 Thunder Punch. As Donphan comes in. I'm sure Donphan lives, so I'm going to go into Bulu. I value spikes so much, so I'm going to go to Klefki on the Skarmory coming in and try to get a T-Wave up here. As Araquanid comes in. So every layer of spikes here really, really matters to me. Is that banded? That is so strong. That must be banded. They unfortunately get another defense drop on me. And Skarmory comes in here. So we can pretty much always click Nature's Madness on Skarmory just to keep it as low as possible, as they do defog away their own Stealth Rocks. Unfortunately they can get it back up here, so I'm going to try bulk up in their face. Perfect. So their Skarmory is completely walled out by my Tapu Fini. This endgame is looking unclear because the Skarmory is actually quite annoying for me to deal with. And I can't set up in its face, so I'll go into Mawile here. I'll click Thunder Punch. Actually, I'll click Iron Head in case they go into Donphan. Nice. So that is a huge chunk of damage on Donphan, which is so important for me. We do live in Iron Earthquake thanks to grassy terrain, as they're actually slower. That is surprising. Alright, it must have been a speed tie because he both 218. So taking care of Donphan is so big for me in the end game. It opens up Mawile so much. As they take in Skarm. I will Swords Dance here, which lets me click Thunder Punch. It does activate their Sturdy, but here I can pick up a KO. I think Superpower is the play here, as they end up staying in. So this lets me set up my spikes in this game, which is super nice. Ooh, that was a crit, unfortunately. I will Toxic this. My Clefable is unfortunately now as good as gone, but I can get up some spikes in this game, which is super important. So what spikes let me do is kind of start to threaten their entire team with Mawile. And this thing is on a timer, so there's no way they can attack me without dying to a Sucker Punch. Unfortunately, I'm not play rough, so Hariyama could be a bit of an issue for me. Though I think Feeny should wall out most of what it has, as it goes for a close combat. I will click Calm Mind here. I thought Cacturne might come out, trying to absorb my Surf. Ooh, that is no damage. I'll click HP Fire here, as is very weak. I think the end game here though is to potentially win with my Mawile. So the powers are working in my favor here, I can't deny. That is very unfortunate for them, as they end up forfeiting. So we have another game, and this is absolutely a Trick Room team, based on the Magearna, Slowbro, Porygon. Things like Melmetal are so scary to me. I'm going to open up with Feeny and try to taunt them as soon as possible, to try and not let them get up their Trick Room, as they go hard into Melmetal. I think I value Feeny too much in this game, though I don't have much to do with Melmetal. I will sack Clefable to the double Iron Bash and hopefully get up some spikes here. So the spikes will go a long way to me to chip away my opponent throughout the game, as they're taking Camerupt. I think I value spikes up again anyway, as they go for an Earth Power, which lets me get in Feeny and click Calm Mind. I believe because I'm max HP, I should just about live one double Iron Bash, as I taunt this, and I'll click Surf is actually just as strong, and hits things like Marowak or Camerupt coming in. Oh, so that is banded, so there's no way I survive one, unfortunately. And here, I honestly don't think Thunder Punch KOs, as they do swap into Slowbro. So it is possible I could win with just Mawile and clicking Sucker Punch. But Magearna is still a big threat to my team. Though they are presumably min speed, based on the style of play they're using. They end up giving me Magearna, and this is looking better and better for me. They're surely slower, but I do Sucker Punch just in case. I'm assuming they're running min speed on their entire team. Mega Mawile is just so strong. It is insane. Now the question is, does Sucker Punch get a KO here? It does. Mawile is just too strong, so absolutely carried me in that game. So that is going to be the last game. I said last one might have been, but I decided to get one more. And let's see where we end up on the ladder. It will take a while to update, so I'll try refresh over here. So the win-loss ratio wasn't correct, so I ended up resetting it a minute ago because I forgot to reset it at the start of the episode, so I didn't want it to be kind of not right. So we ended up at 1496, which is pretty good. We climbed a lot in this episode compared to previous ones, so I am happy. If you did enjoy, definitely leave a like, subscribe, comment, all that kind of stuff helps me out so much, it really does. I've left the team link down below in a Pokepaste, as well as the link to the Discord if you'd like to join. Absolutely feel free to, I'd love to have you there. And for the next episode of NatDex, I should have a special guest with me. I'm not going to say who it is, but hopefully you do tune in for that and you will enjoy. I'm really looking forward to working with them, and it should be a great episode. So we could potentially even reach top 500 next episode, which I believe is around the 1580 mark. So that's going to be our goal in the next episode. It should be out later this week. Hope you enjoyed. Have a fantastic day and do take care.